Welcome to today's demonstration of bot automation. Today we're going to go through a vendor onboarding use case, human workforce augmentation with robotics. Before I get started, I want to explain the IBM RPA platform. There are four components that consist of RPA. There are the bot creators on the left, which is where you create the bots. There's the control, where you manage the bots, the version control, user management, role-based access, and audit trail. The next one is the bot runners. This is where we execute the bots and where they work on the tasks that have been given to them. The last one is the BPM Express. This is the portal that gives us access to the bots themselves through a UI. Let's take a look at the current process. As you'll see, there are two swim lanes, the vendor management team and the finance team. You'll notice there are three different applications that the users will interact with: the BPM application, a web application, and a Windows GUI. You'll notice a lot of the work is going to be done by the vendor management team, and this is where we want to try to improve process. You'll see that they will log on to a Windows GUI. They will then log on to a web application with that information, and then take that same information into the BPM vendor profile. At that point, that will be passed on to the finance team, and then finally back to the vendor team to actually do billing. So that's the current process today. It takes approximately 22 minutes for work time. As you see here, this is the GUI application they use today. It's a .NET application that's deployed to each user's desktop, and as new users come on board, they have to get trained on it. So it's very simple to type in information, and the information for that vendor will come back that they can copy and paste. The second application they will use is Invoicing. This is a web-based application that allows them to create new invoices, and they have to create the vendor first. So multiple users have to access the account, and as usual, they have to be trained on the new use case as well. The last application that they will interact with is BPM Workflow application. This is basically a web application as well, and it's part of a larger workflow, and they're going to copy the same information from the first screens into these screens as well, so we have repetitive action. This is our new process model with RPA Robotics. You'll notice we've added a third swim lane for the bot to actually do the work. The bot will now do the searching of the vendor through the Windows GUI. It will then use that information for the invoice application, and then into the BPM vendor profile process. You will also notice that the users will only interact with one UI now, the BPM portal itself. Overall, the new process will now only be 7.5 minutes of work time, saving 15.5 minutes from a user's perspective. Let's get started with a demo. So what you can see on my screen now on the left side is the BPM portal. This is the UI the human will interact with. On the right side is the bot runner, which runs in your data center. Typically, a user will not see the bot runner, but for demo purposes, I want to show it to you as it's going through the steps. I'm going to go ahead and kick off the workflow, and I'm going to kick off the vendor lookup workflow, and I'm going to enter the DUNS number that I want to enter into our system. So I'm going to submit this information, and it's going to notify the bot that there's work to do. So you'll see in the bottom right corner of the bot interface that the work has been triggered. It's now kicked off the bot, and now the bot's going to do some work. So the bot is going to retrieve information from what the user typed in, and it's going to make a REST call into BPM to pull back that DUNS number. And now it has a DUNS number. And now on the desktop, it's going to open up a Windows GUI that will allow it to search for that vendor or customer. So now it's loaded the application, it's searched the information, and now it's copied all this information into memory. And now it's going to go to the web-based application and take that copied information and put it into the web application. It's going to log in to this website. And the bot is doing all these actions. I'm not on the keyboard. It's going to add a new vendor and a new client. And it's going to take the information it copied and it's going to paste it in this form based on the information. It's going to save that information. So now we've created a new client. And then it's going to log out of the tool and then shut down the browser for the first step. So as it's gone through this process, it's now going to go to the next step, which is to submit vendor information into our BPM tool. So now what it's going to do is going to open up another browser window. It's going to log into this web instance. It's going to create a new workflow for vendor onboarding. It's going to take that same information that it copied from the first Windows GUI and enter it into this system. It's going to save that. And now it's going to log out of the BPM tool. And you'll notice on the left side, now we have the second part of our process. So at this point, the bot has done its work, and you'll see in the bottom right corner, there's no more task. and now it's been handed off to the human. So what I want to show you here is this is the task that happened. We've got all our information that came from the Windows GUI. It's now in the web application. I can see the diagram. So you can see the first step is done, and now we're on the second step of this workflow, and this is where it hands off to a human. I want to thank you for your time today and me demonstrating the actual power of bots and how they can help augment your workforce. As you can see, the bot was able to interact with the human, and the human was able to interact with the bot in a simple, concise UI.